Welcome to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast, where today we're going over UFC 289, Nunes versus Aldana. First things first, make sure you give this video a like, hit the subscribe button, give a follow over on Twitter, over on Instagram, over on TikTok, wherever there's social media. There is the Stats and Stacks podcast. I got a quick overview of last week. We always do two, and two of each event between totals, locks, and live underdogs. And we never go over minus 300 when it comes to locks because that's just too easy. You don't want to bet Nunes this fight and she's minus 400. Like it's too easy out there. So, again, went ahead, went 2 for 2 on locks again. Had some underdog plays come through. Had Naimov versus via KO, which was a huge payoff. We started off the night with like 4 underdogs, and we were on all 4, so it was smooth sailing the rest of the night. It was a fun card last week. I might have been the one of the only ones that had fun on that card, especially with all the Kai Kara France love. But it is what it is. Do I think KKF won the fight? Yeah. Am I going to dwell in it? No, because we made money, baby. Who cares? And we're looking to drag it on over to this card. Am I excited? Was I excited about last card? No, not really. Am I excited about this card? No, not at all. But if you make money, is it one of your favorite cards? Yeah. So let's make some money and make this event worthwhile, especially if you're going to end up paying for it. So, again, let's go ahead and jump into this for the very first fight of the night. And the first one's a scary man. It's a scary one. I'm very scared of women's MMA. I'm very scared of heavyweight and apparently light heavyweight. I seem to be struggling with. But again, very first fight of the night is women's MMA here. We have Diana Belbita as a plus 100 dog. Put up against Maria Oliveira minus 120. I mean, I think the line is flipped since again. I have all of these written down on Tuesday. So most of these lines, not most of them, but this one I believe was a straight pick up at minus 110 the last time I checked earlier today. Over under set at 2.5, over 2.5 minus 290, under 2.5 plus 230. Let's start with Diana Belbita because I think she's overrated. People had really high hopes for her coming in, the Warrior Princess. The only one that has high hopes for her right now is Terrence McKinney. Shout out to T Rex sliding in those DMs. But at the end of the day, she's only 26 years old. And honestly, that like 24 to 29 range, you can see a lot of improvement. So with her being 26, who knows what version we're going to get here. She does have okay striking. I wouldn't say it's that great. It's okay. But she does have pretty high volume, which is nice. She has a 68% takedown defense. That's very concerning. We did see people like Meatball Molly McCann just outgrapple her. She lost to Gloria DePaula, and Gloria DePaula got a few takedowns. That's very concerning. Although she has high volume, you can't hit her a lot as well. So that's not the greatest. I don't know, man. She's scary to me. She was in a close fight against Hannah Goldie. She's just very overrated, to be honest with you. But she does, although she's not a good wrestler by any means, she does seem to get one takedown every fight. Like a lot, every single fight, she seems to get one takedown. So, and she does throw a lot to the body. I do like that, especially someone that can gas a little bit. She loves to move forward, and she's a lot better when she's moving forward. She doesn't fight very well off her back foot. But I don't know, man. Her fight IQ is not the greatest. I just don't really trust her. It's just she's that 26 age range, and we haven't seen her since the Gloria DePaula fight. We have not seen her in a year. So I was trying to do research. Was she hurt? Was she just training? Did she have a whole bunch of canceled fights? Like what happened? I mean, she had one canceled fight against Loma, thank God, because Loma would have taken her lunch money. Loma would have whooped her ass. But as of right now, I mean, she has a winnable fight against Maria Oliveira. Maria Oliveira is not that good. She also is a striker. She doesn't have any power whatsoever. She has pretty high volume as well. These girls are very similar. Her cardio, it's okay. She throws a ton. And she'll keep throwing, but she does slow down a little in her fights. She also has shaky takedown defense. She has a 47% takedown defense. We saw people like Tabitha Ricci went out there and took her down like 5 times. Gloria Paula also got a takedown over her. Vanessa Demopoulos got a takedown, and she can't wrestle to save her life. And also, she likes to move forward. She's a little hittable for the amount she throws. She throws a shit ton and gets hit a shit ton, just like Diana. Only difference is she's a little chinny, man. I mean, we saw her just flat out quit in the Marina Rodriguez fight. Is Marina Rodriguez a killer? Yeah, absolutely. Marina's very good, and especially on the feet. But she just turned. I've never seen anyone turn their back and say no mas. Like that was pretty interesting. We saw her kind of just give up a little bit in the Vanessa Demopoulos fight as well. In the Tabitha Ricci fight, when she kept getting taken down initially she kept popping back up. Again, there were 5 takedowns. But after a while, she just sensed defeat, and she will give up in that octagon. So I don't trust either one of these girls. I'm just going to bet whichever one is the dog. And right now, it's a straight pick 'em, homie. So uh, give me the 26-year-old in Diana. Hopefully she's been working, and hopefully, honestly, it kind of just hits the point where she's the dog again, because that's the only value in this matchup. Otherwise, they both fight the exact same way. They both suck. They both have a ton of volume, and God knows who they're going to vote for. The only thing I will say in regards to it, though, is Diana has lived in Canada for a little, and don't forget this event is in Canada. So if anything, I'll just give her the crowd edge, and I think that might get her the win. So the pick is going to be Diana Belbita. The pick is good, and the bet's going to be Diana Belbita, especially if she's a dog. Next fight of the night, we have David Dvorak at minus 340 going up against Steve Erceg at plus 280. This is another one that moved. The last time I checked, Steve Erceg was at like plus 220. Like a lot of money's coming on Steve Erceg. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 165. Under 2.5 plus 135. I'm going to talk about the line move. Let's just go ahead and start with Steve Erceg. He looks like that dude from The Office. He looks like Ryan from The Office. Like he does not look like a fighter by any means. He has no like his physical stature is not scary. He's 27 years old, so again, he's that age where you don't really know what version you're gonna get. Watching the fight tape on this kid, I was actually impressed. A lot of time you watch it and you go, they're just fighting bums. That's all that's going on. That's not the case here, man. His striking's okay. It's not good. It's not bad. He's extremely hittable. I don't like that. He's been chin checked a ton, and he seems to just eat it. But I mean, after a while, you can do that on the regional scene. I don't know if you can continue to do that in the big leagues at UFC, but I mean, right now his chin's holding up, and his offensive striking is fine. It's just he's not very defensively sound. His wrestling's okay. It's not good, it's not bad, but his ground game's very, very good. He is a legitimate black belt on the ground. I mean, he has a ton of submission wins, and he even tapped out the likes of Shannon Ross, who's in the UFC. He fought Dennis Bonder, who's in the UFC. Like he's fought some guys on the active roster, and he only has one career loss. So at the end of the day, he's one of these Australian killers. I mean, how many kids from Australia are bad? I mean, Jessica J. Rose Clark is probably the only bad Australian. I mean, Jamie Malarkey, he's chinny, but he's okay. Dan Hooker's good. Volk, good. Izzy, good. Like all these Australians are fucking killers, and Steven Erceg is no difference. I don't like that he's taking the fight on short notice, but he does have a tendency to go forward. He throws a lot of leg kicks, which I love a ton. He'll go to the body, which I love a ton. I like everything about this kid except for the fact that he's hittable. Because after a while, someone's gonna put his fucking lights out. But I don't know if it's gonna be David Dvorak. He's someone that I've literally labeled as overrated from the first time I saw him. He shows a balloon 20-5 record. I don't think he's that good. And honestly, I saw this guy live in Columbus against Mateus Nicolau. One of the most boring fights I've ever seen live, to be honest with you. He's not, his striking's okay. He's been utilizing his wrestling a lot as of late, but that's only okay. His jiu-jitsu, it's gotten better. He likes showing off how much better it is, but that's only okay. And when you really go over his UFC wins, Bruno Silva's a good win. I have nothing there. That's not fight ready Bruno Silva. That's Bruno Silva before he became a killer. But it is what it is. He still has the win. Gordon Espinosa's trash. And then he has a short notice win against Ronderos. I mean, Ronderos is too little for flyweight. It's insane. Then he has a loss to Mateus Nicolau, which again, that was a very, very boring fight, but he got dropped. And even the Dvorak's a little chinny, to be honest with you. Manel Cop's a killer, but David Dvorak didn't deserve to be in there with him, and he got dropped like 4 times. Like David Dvorak is very chinny, and it's going underrated. It's slept on. Kind of last week where I was like, Jamie Malarkey's probably the better fighter. He should probably beat the short notice guy, but he's a little chinny, and it scares me. And I bet Naimov by knockout. Same thing here. David Dvorak's probably a little better. He has the UFC experience, but he's a little chinny himself, and his ground game is questionable. So at that juncture, I think Urseg is better on the ground. I know Urseg is better on the ground. I think Urseg's the better wrestler. And when it comes to striking, I think David Dvorak's better, but Urseg has a chin and Dvorak doesn't. So if you're giving me plus 200 on somebody, and Steve Urseg also, the UFC has tried to get in. They booked him earlier against Clayton Carpenter, but he had to pull out. They booked him in Contender Series. Like, this guy has been on the UFC's roster trying to get him into the UFC for like 2 years. So the UFC believes in him. They're showing it already, and you're getting a good price tag on him. You're probably not going to get this again. Could he go out there and just get chin checked? Absolutely, because he is extremely hittable and he gets hit a shit ton. But as long as his chin holds up, I think he wins this fight, man. I think David Dvorak is overrated while Steve is underrated. So the pick is going to be Steve. The bet's going to be Steve, baby. Let's get it. Let's get paid. Next fight of the night, we have one I'm kind of stuck on. We have Blake Builder at minus 225, Kyle Nelson plus 190. Over 2.5 at plus 125, under 2.5 at minus 155. Let's start with Blake Builder because he's someone that I bet on in the Contender Series, and I apologize, my allergies are whooping my ass. Blake Builder is someone I bet on the Contender Series and cashed out. He's someone I bet on against who's an Australian guy, Shane Young. That's a bad Australian. I'll give you that one. I bet him against Shane Young, and I cashed out. And I think he sucks. Blake Builder, I don't think he's that good. I just think he keeps getting favorable matchups, to be honest with you. His jiu-jitsu is very, very good. He's a black belt, and it is top-notch. His wrestling's pretty good, man. It's not just okay. It's not very good. It's not very good. It's good. It's presentable. It's decent. I have no problem with it. His striking leaves a little to be desired. It's okay. I can't say it's bad. He's good everywhere. He's very, very good on the ground. His wrestling's good, and his striking's okay. Like, he's all in all fine. His cardio, he can slow down a little, but he's one of these guys that, like, he's a very, very slow starter. He loses every first round. Like, if him and Chito Vera fought, I have no idea who would win the first round because neither one has, like, ever won a first round in their career. So it would be fun to watch those two fight just to see who's the worst first round performer in the UFC. But at the end of the day, after he takes all your stuff in the first round, he comes back and he usually finishes you, to be quite honest. His volume's fine. He prefers to counter. And I think that's part of his slow start. If he's trying to catch your rhythm and he doesn't catch it right away, it takes him a little bit. So you piece him up for a little, and he's a little chinny for someone that's undefeated and is a little bit notoriously of a slow starter. I like them to at least have chins. He gets dropped quite a bit. He never goes out, but he's been dropped multiple times. So I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with him starting slow and getting chin checked every single fight. It does scare me, but so far his shit has held up. And he does end up getting the win, and he usually finishes. Yeah. On the flip side, Kyle Nelson is the complete opposite. He's a fast starter. He goes out there, and most of his wins are in the first round. Dude cracks, hits extremely hard. They have a 3-inch reach advantage here. He's the Canadian in this fight. His striking's good. His wrestling he's been showing off as of late is not bad. His jiu-jitsu, it's all right. It's not great. Blake will kill him on the ground, but I think Kyle wants to keep this on the feet and bang. Here's the problem. Kyle Nelson generally fought at 145. His last 2 fights have been up at they've been up at 155. He has a really bad gas tank. This dude has 1 round of cardio, and that's the problem with him. He also likes to counter strike, so it'll be interesting watching them go at it, but I think he'll push the pressure and push the pace. He's really low volume, so when I say push the pace, I mean just march forward, not throw a lot of volume, because he doesn't throw a lot. And he's hittable himself. He's extremely hittable. And a lot of that is because he gets tired. I mean, he got knocked out by Billy Quarantino, and Billy has 0 power. He probably hits the softest in the entire MMA. I love Billy. He's from Buffalo. He's a Buffalo kid. I will fuck with Billy till the end of time. But he just doesn't have a lot of power. You get knocked out by Billy Q. There's some questions. There's some serious questions, and it's usually your cardio, and that's why it happened in the third round. Kyle Nelson he's a good striker. He hits very hard. He's fine round one, and he just falls off a fucking cliff. So uh, I don't know. I don't trust either one of these guys. I don't want to. I don't want to trust the guy that starts slow, that has a suspect chin, going against a power puncher who starts fast. But if Blake Builder survives, for the love of God, bet Blake Builder, because Kyle Nelson cannot last. Will he be in Canada? Will he try to just wrestle and hold on? Possibly. Do I trust either one of these guys? No, and especially at the Blake Builder price at minus 225. Absolutely not. So, I mean, Blake is going to be the pick. I will ultimately take the cardio and the wrestling. I can't do it in confidence like everyone else. Everyone else has them in parlays. I just can't do it. So I don't really want to touch the over under either. I don't know, man. The pick is going to be Blake. The bet's going to be Blake, I guess. I was on Kyle for a while. I was convinced I was going to bet Kyle, and then I just watched the tape and I can't do it. But pick is Blake, bet is Blake, but I'm not betting it. I think it's a trap. All right. Next fight of the night, we have another Canadian and Amin Sahabi going up against Arichi Lang. Amin Sahabi, the Canadian hometown dog, plus 105. Arichi Lang, minus 120. Over 2.5 is minus 205. Under 2.5 is plus 165. Interesting lines there. Let's start with Arichi. You know what? Let's start with Amin Sahabi. Amin Sahabi. Listen, all right, let's give the lowdown at Amin Sahabi. He's not good. He shows a 9-2 record. He's 35 years old. He's fought 11 times. He's 35 years old. You think maybe he got a late start? No, his brother is a acclaimed Zahabi brother. Like, Zahabis have been in MMA forever. Like, he's been around long enough to have more than 11 wins. His brother also matchmaked for him in the regional scene. I mean, to the point where he fought the same guy like multiple times along the way. Like, there were nothing but rigged fights for him against really, really low levels of competition. I mean, let's look at it. First guy he fought was 0-5. 0-6. The next guy he fought was 4-6. Next guy was 0-0. Next guy was 7-8. Next guy was 2-0. Next guy was 3-1. And then he got into the UFC against a fraudulent 13-4 Vieira. Like, that guy was awful. He was very, very bad and soon caught right after that fight. Then they gave him a real guy in Ricardo Ramos, and he got elbowed to death. He got spinning back, elbowed him, put out. Then he fought Vince Morales, who isn't even the UFC anymore, got cut because he wasn't that good, but he took an L there. Then he fought the fraudulent Draco Rodriguez, who I think is no longer in the UFC. And then he fought the fraudulent Ricky Tercios. And Ricky Tercios, he threw like 200 strikes and landed 10. Like, it was insane. He just kept throwing stuff and keying. Meanwhile, Zahabi threw nothing. Zahabi has no volume. It's very, very low. He's extremely hittable. Schedule's questionable. He never fights. I mean, look at his record. He fought one time every year, one in 2022, one in 2021, one in 2020, one in 2019. 2 years off for 2017. He fought twice in 2017. Once in 2016, one in 22 in 2015, two in 2014, a lot of them in 2014. So as from 2016 on, so that is what, 7 years ago. The past 7 years, he's fought once a year, and then he took a 2-year break in between 2017 and 2019. Like, I don't know why this guy doesn't fight. I mean, TriStar, I don't know what's wrong with this guy. I just think he lives off of his brother's name. He has been matchmaked to death, just giving the easiest matchups in the world, and now he no longer has an easy one. I think Arichi Lang is a killer. I mean, literally, his nickname is the Mongolian Murderer, so it doesn't seem like someone you would give Zahabi in his hometown, unless Arichi Lang is hurt and there's something we don't know. I mean, Arichi Lang, this is what we do know. Arichi Lang used to fight at 125. He's moved up to 135, 2 fights ago or 1 fight ago? Jay Perrin, Cameron. So 2 fights ago, he moved up to 135. So maybe they're thinking because he's a smaller guy, but he's pretty filled out at 135. I don't really know how he made 125, to be honest with you. He has good offensive wrestling. His takedown defense is questionable. He's rocking like a 50-60% takedown defense, so it's not very good. But his offensive wrestling is good. He has very high volume. He throws a ton. Is he hittable? Absolutely. When he throws all that volume, you can definitely counter and strike him back. But he has a ton of power and he's extremely durable. He's never been knocked out. And honestly, his name is the Mongolian Murderer. Is that someone you think a 35-year-old counterpuncher who fights once every year should be fighting? Probably not. So give me the guy that actually fights more than once a year. Give me the guy that can wrestle and strike. Give me the guy that's durable. So and has the power. So the pick is going to be a Ricci Lang. The bet's going to be a Ricci Lang. Can there be some hometown cooking? Absolutely, someone from TriStar. Now, as credit to the Die Hard MMA podcast saying that Ayman Sahabi looks like Ariel Awadi. Dude, he kind of does with his bald head. So maybe the judges will think it's Ariel fighting and they'll just give him a crazy decision. But they have Canadians on basically every fight. Not every single one is going to win. And I think this is just a bad style matchup. So pick as a Ricci Lang, bet as a Ricci Lang. Next fight of the night should be another Canadian murder. We have Jasmine Jasdavicius at plus 250. Miranda Maverick rocking a minus 300, right on the cusp there. Over 2.5 is minus 365, under 2.5 at plus 275. Let's start with Jasmine because Jasmine is the Canadian, which is nice. But she's absolutely terrible. She'll have a 3-inch reach advantage, which is nice. Her wrestling is okay. She takes a lot of shots from very, very far away, but she has one body lock and she has a double leg. That's it. There's no chain wrestling. There's no single legs. She can shoot a double and try to time it, or she can try to do a body lock. She has 2 takedowns. That's all you see. Her striking, I don't know about because the girl doesn't fucking strike. Like I've never seen her really throw a punch. She just throws a little jab out there and that's it. Like it's not even no intent to hurt you at the jab. She literally throws it out there to distract you. It's basically a head tap in wrestling. That's all she's doing, and she has terrible cardio. She gasses in all of her fights. I don't know. It's just very, very robotic and non-scary striking. Don't know. And she's very hittable. She doesn't use her length at all. For someone that always has a reach advantage and is a big girl for the weight class, she's a size bully, but she doesn't know how to use it. She can't strike, so she can't use her length. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's a tall, lanky girl that wants to shoot a double. That doesn't work. If anything, if you want to be a wrestler and you want to shoot doubles, you want to be short and stocky. You want to be shorter than your opponent if you're going to shoot a double. If you're going to be taller, you want to use a body lock. Is her body lock okay? Yeah, but she muscles it. She doesn't use any technique. She literally takes you and squeezes you as hard as she can because she's bigger than you. She is not technical at all. She just, all in all, her losses aren't bad. She lost to Natalia Silva and she lost to Elise Reed, both in the UFC. But outside of that, her wins are a posture. Like, they're just terrible. 0-0, 1-1, 2-2, 2-1, 5-5. 8-2 in the Contender Series. Kay Hansen's all right. She's not terrible. That was a decent win, and I was actually on her there. But Kay Hansen can't wrestle, and Gabrielle Fernandez can't wrestle. So all she does is keep fighting girls that don't know what a takedown is, and she just squeezes and body locks them to death, or shoots from 30 feet away and somehow gets a double on these girls because her wrestling is that bad, and then lays them prey. She can't finish you. She has no jujitsu. Jasmine Jasdavicius sucks. Very, very nice girl. Don't get me wrong. We saw her on the MMA Hour as well. Very, very kind girl. Love Jasmine. Would I love to put money on her? Fuck no. She's not a good fighter. On the flip side, we have Miranda Maverick, who I think is extremely overrated. I don't think she's a very good fighter either. But she's pretty. Oh, and Jasmine also. Sorry. One more last thing on Jasmine. She started late. She's old. She's like 33, 34 years old. Miranda Maverick, on the flip side, is only 25, so she falls right in that. They're going to get better each time frame. She's also jacked. I mean, look at her. So she's very short too. So it's going to be tough for Jasmine to shoot a double. The only way she's going to be able to get Miranda Maverick down is by that body lock, and Miranda Maverick is not a weak girl that she can just overpower. Look at her fucking arms. Like, she is jacked. This is very, very bad for Jasmine. Her striking's not that good, but it's okay. We saw her go toe-to-toe with Macy Barber, and Macy Barber's a pretty decent striker. She's a hell of a lot better than Jasmine Jasdavicius. Miranda Maverick does show 4 losses on her record, but Erin Blanchfield's an absolute GOAT. Macy Barber, I thought she won that fight. I had money on Macy Barber. I was happy they gave her the nod, but I thought Miranda won that fight. And then she lost to Deanna Bennett, who's crushing it over in Bellator, and Brogan Walker, who's also in the UFC. So she has no losses to people that aren't in a major promotion. Her wins aren't that great. Shayna Young's not that good, but Jillian Robertson's a pretty decent win. Luana Joshua, not so much. Pearl Gonzalez, she was in the UFC at one point, so I'll give her that. But at the end of the day, Victoria Leonardo, she's in the UFC. She's not that good, but she's in the UFC. So she's fought a decent caliber here. Her striking's okay. It's not good, but it is compared to Jasmine. Her wrestling's okay. She has a 44% takedown defense, but that's skewed because Erin Blanchfield took her down like 8 times. So Blanchfield just fucked up her takedown defense. And Jillian Robertson's a pretty decent wrestler, and she took her down twice. So she fought two of the best ground people in the weight class. So it's kind of tough to say 44%. They were the only two to take her down. On the flip side, she shows pretty good fight IQ and she like trains with Jillian now. If she loses, she trains with you. It's very peculiar. Her cardio's good, it checks out. All in all, she's a really, really good jujitsu. You don't see it often, but she is very good on the ground. She's better than Jasmine on the ground. Wrestling is a wash, and she's much better on the feet than Jasmine. The only thing Jasmine has going for her is a 3-3 advantage she doesn't know how to use, and a crowd. But give me the talent. Minus 300. Yeah, I don't care. I know it's women's MMA. I never want to bet men's heavyweight or women's MMA, and especially not lock those, but it's just Jasmine sucks. So the pick is Miranda. The bet is going to be Miranda. Next fight of the night, put some respect on Chris Curtis's name, baby. Plus 130 going up against Nazardine Imavov, minus 150, over 2.5, minus 165, under 2.5, plus 135. Let's start with Imavov. Imavov's not terrible. He's pretty good. He's one of these guys from Dagestan that left Dagestan. He went over to France, trains over with Cyril Gane and them. He's a pretty good fighter, man. He has good wrestling just because he's Dagestani. It's natural. It's in his blood. He doesn't utilize it often, though. He predominantly wants to strike. His name is the sniper, the Russian sniper. He has good striking. It's very good. He has pretty decent power, to be honest with you. And he's not bad, man. He's pretty good. The problem with him is that although he goes forward and has good striking, has wrestling to back it up, he can slow down in his fights. He's a big boy. He's a very, very big boy. I mean, his last fight was at 205. Was it because Sean Strickland took it on short notice? Yeah. But Imavov did not look out of place at 205. Like, he's a very, very large man. His jiu-jitsu is also good. Like, Imavov is good everywhere. He's someone that will always be like a ranked fighter, top 15, top 10, but I think that's his limit. I don't think he can go under top 10, especially at this weight class. I don't ever see him making it past that. I don't see him dropping out of the rankings, out of the top 15, but I don't see him going past 10. He's just kind of strikes me as a perennial gatekeeper. On the flip side, I love Chris Curtis. I fuck with Chris Curtis. I've won a ton of money with Chris Curtis. I think Chris Curtis got screwed in his last fight, but let's call a spade a spade. Chris Curtis is a welterweight. He's a welterweight. He took a fight at middleweight to get into the UFC and get paid. He got a knockout. He stayed at middleweight. He's done great at middleweight. He's only lost to two of the top middleweights. And again, the last one was a screw job. He actually should have won that. It was just an accidental headbutt that dropped him, that lost him the fight. So that kind of sucks. But the Jack Hermanson fight, he just lost. So he really realistically only has one loss in middleweight. But again, he's a natural welterweight. And he's fighting Imavov that looks good at 205. So it does concern me. Curtis is good striking too. He has very, very good striking defense. He's a little bit of a slow starter, someone that wants to counter and figure out your rhythm as well, like some of these other fighters earlier. He has 100% takedown defense, which is nice. So this should predominate. I don't see Imavov being the one to break that. If Jack Hermanson couldn't, if Buckley couldn't, if Vieira couldn't, if Brendan Allen couldn't, if Phil Hawes couldn't, I don't see Imavov being the one to take him down. He's extremely durable. He's only been knocked out once in his career. And that was when he fought twice in one day. Like he literally fought the guy that was in the main event, had to pull out and like, hey, Chris, can you jump out the shower and fight Ray Cooper again? And he's like, hell yeah, I'll fight him. And he went out there and he did get finished. But Ray Cooper is good. He's over in PFL now, I think, killing it. And two, Chris Curtis literally just fought an entire fight and then came out and tried to do another one. So no fault there. I'd say he's never been knocked out. I don't really count that. Yeah, his cardio's great. His cardio's very, very good. He'll fight forever. Uh so you have two counter strikers going at it. One could fight at 205, one could fight at 170. One is bad cardio, one is good cardio. Oh God, this is gonna be greasy. This is split decision written all over it. And I think part of the reason it's a split is because Imavov is French. What languages do Canadians speak? French and English. So if they're gonna root for anyone, they're gonna root for the French guy. So Imavov will have the crowd here. Will that make a difference and sway the judges? Or no? This has split written all over it. So the pick is gonna be Curtis. Actually, I'll rock with Curtis. But the bet's going to be the over. Neither one of these guys have really been knocked out. Again, the only one that's been knocked out was Curtis, and that's when he fought twice in one day, like within the hour, twice in 1 hour. So if you exclude that, neither guy has been knocked out. So the pick is going to be Curtis. The bet's going to be the over 2.5, minus 165. Pretty good odds. And you might as well just juice it and just take fight goes a distance. And if you want to get real fancy, pick a split decision side because I think this goes to a split. Next fight could also go to a split, man. We have Eric Anders, plus 130, going up against Marc-Andre Barriault at minus 150. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5, minus 155. Under 2.5 at plus 125. We got ourselves another Canadian, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Power Bar Andre Barriault, generalist. I can literally just say the word generalist and move on. Like there's nothing else to tell about this guy. His striking's okay. His wrestling's okay. His jiu-jitsu's okay. His cardio's good. He has really good cardio. He has high volume. 62% takedown defense, so that's a little concerning because Eric Anders has been wrestling as of late. So I don't know. And he also was on the sauce. He did get a medical suspension in regards to steroids. So non-steroid Marc-Andre isn't as good. You see the no contest there against Oscar Pichota. That's because of the steroids. But then he beat Abu without steroids, but Abu's not that good and has no cardio. Dolce's not that good, has no cardio. Non-steroid power bar went out there and got head kicked to hell in 16 seconds against Chidi. Jordan Wright has no cardio, not that good. Anthony Hernandez drowned him. And then the win against Julian Marquez was fine. So all of his clean fights, all of his wins are against scrubs. All of his losses, he went out there and just got manhandled. So I don't know. I don't know what the true Andre Barriault is, but he's a generalist, 62% takedown defense. He's clean, but he's in his hometown, baby. Home country. Next opponent for him, though, is Eric Anders. Eric Anders is an athlete. Is he a good fighter? He's getting better, but he's old, man. He's 36. This fight, he left fight ready. There's some stuff going on with his management, so he did have to leave fight ready. Fight ready, Eric Anders was going out there and wrestling. We saw him go out there and wrestle the dentist Darren Stewart. He went out there and wrestled Jung Young Park, and I thought that was a screw job split. I thought he won that. He got caught by Andre Muniz, which a lot of people do. There's nothing you can do there. He went out there and ground and pounded Kyle Dawkins. So, I mean, he goes out there and he wrestles and he lays on top. He wasn't very exciting at fight ready, but he kept winning money. So I had no problem with that. He has a ton of power. His striking's okay, but he can slow down. He's fought some really, really good guys. Like, just because the guys he's fought recently are just okay. Guys in his entire career, he's fought the best of the best. I don't know. His jiu-jitsu's okay. He's kind of a generalist as well. I just see this being a lot of cage control, a lot of clinching. Again, he went over to MMA Lab for this fight camp. So, I mean, if you're going to have to leave fight ready and stay in the Arizona area, I think MMA Lab is where I would go. It's a good camp too. So, I mean, I don't know. this is just a weird fight. I don't really want any part of it. To be quite frank with you, I'm gonna go ahead and pick Marc-Andre Burial just because he's a hometown guy and he's fine everywhere. But I think you should just bet the over. The over is kind of up there though, -155. You can take that. I don't hate that actually. I thought it was worse. I I'd pick Burio, but I would just bet the over, or you can do a dog or pass if anything. I wouldn't really bet Marc Andre to be honest with you. Next fight of the night is one I'm also a little conflicted with. I think it should be Dan Ige at -250 all day. I think he should absolutely kill Nate Landwehr. Nate the Train, baby, +210, over 2.5 -120, under 2.5 -110. Basically a pick 'em. Let's start with Dan Ige. Dan Ige is good, man. I think he's very good. He's a little underrated, to be honest with you. He shows a 16-6 record. He was on like a 4-fight losing streak at one point, 3-fight losing streak. But look at who he lost to. I mean, Chan Sung Jung, good. Josh Emmett, good. Marzar Evloev might be a future champ. Like, all three of those guys are very, very good. And he went to a decision with all three of them. Main reason he lost to all three, wrestling. Takedown defense, 52%. Not very good. Is Dan very good on the ground? Yeah, he's a legitimate black belt. He's very good on the ground. Is he a legit striker? Yeah, he's very, very good on the feet. Does he have cardio to go a good 15? Yeah, he has really, really good cardio. He's good. And has he fought the best of the best? Yeah, he has a good schedule. Dan Ige is the complete package outside of 52% takedown defense. He can't stop a takedown. So that is concerning. If he fights a wrestler, he's in a little bit of trouble. Did I fade him in all three of those? Absolutely. Did I win money on all three? Absolutely. Damon Jackson, can he wrestle? Yeah, but he wasn't on the level of an Evloev or an Emmett or even a Korean Zombie. So I kind of figured Damon Jackson was going to get murdered, which he did. So Danny Gay does the dang thing against anyone he's supposed to, and anyone that's nasty, he seems to struggle, especially if you're a wrestler. On the flip side, we have Nate the Train, baby. Nate the Train was one of these sleepers who could win you a ton of money because no one cared about Nate the Train. And he was just a killer that no one knew about. Nate's good, man. He trains over at MMA Masters, which is a decent gym. As much as it kills me to say, they're a pretty decent gym. Austin Lingo isn't a good win, though. David Onama, I don't know what to say about that. I don't know. There's a lot going on with David Onama. Ludovic Klein, that's an okay win. Julian Erosa, he got knocked out. That's probably not the best look. Darren Elkins isn't that good of a win. Getting knocked out by Herbert Burns, terrible, terrible look. He's generally pretty durable, but he's another guy that got caught on the sauce. This guy got caught on gear. He was a steroid user, especially over in M1 on the Russian scene. Oh my God, he was juiced. He was juiced to the gills over in Russia. Came to the UFC, said, hey, you got to stay clean. And then he gets knocked out by Herbert Burns. Not a good look. But ever since then, he's been looking a lot better. He's just a little chinny. But his cardio is real. He is a very, very, very good gas tank. His striking's good, man. It's very good striking. His wrestling, he mixes it in. He mixes it in a lot more than I realized. When I went back and I watched fight tape, Nate the Train gets more takedowns than I ever noticed. Can he get one against Dan Ige? Yes. Should that be the game plan? Yes. Are you going to put Nate in front of a crowd? He's going to go out there and brawl? Yes. Nate the Train's whole fight IQ gets thrown out the window the moment there's a crowd around. So, can Nate the Train win this fight? Absolutely. Take him down, ground him. He'll be fine on the ground. He can win this fight. Is he going to? Fuck no. He's going to go cheering to the crowd. He's going to go talking trash to Dan Ige, saying, let's go. And he's going to get cracked and he's going to get put the fuck out. So, the pick is going to be Ige. The bet's going to be Ige just because of Nate the Train's ego. Okay. Next fight of the night is one I'm pumped for. We have Canadian Mike Malott -210 going up against Adam Fugit +180, over 2.5 +205, under 2.5 -255. I'm pumped for this fight because I bet a lot of money on Mike Malott in his Contender Series fight, and he came through. I bet a lot of money on Mike Malott against Mickey Gall. He came through. I bet a lot of money on Mike Malott to win by submission against Johan Linus. He came through. Mike Malott is a cash machine for me, and I am fading his ass here. Mike Malott is a good striker. He's a very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. His wrestling's pretty decent. Problem with him is that, and he's an absolute finisher. I don't think he's ever won a decision. All of them are very, very early. The problem with Mike is that he's very hittable. Mickey Gall is piecing up a little bit. That's concerning. He has no chin. Whatchamacallit? Hakeem Dawodu knocked him out. That's very concerning. And he has no cardio. He fades. Look at all of his wins. Round 1, submission. Round 1, submission. Round 1, submission. Round 1, KO. Round 1, KO. Round 1, submission. All of his wins are in round 1. You take this man to round 2, you're in some trouble. And honestly, when he lost to Hakeem Dawodu, part of that was not just his chin. He was also getting tired. And it was only round 1. Were these fights at 145 and now he's at 170? Yeah. Can that help his cardio? Probably, but it's not going to help his chin. His chin's not going to be much going up 2 weight classes. 45 to 170 is a big jump. So the moment he fights someone that has any semblance of cardio, any semblance of a chin, and any semblance of a ground game, he's in some trouble. Who does he have here? Adam Fugit. Do I think Adam Fugit is good? No, I don't. I think he's okay. I think he's underrated. I don't think he's that good. However, I do think he's a dog, and that's the type of guy that's going to go out there and beat Mike Mallet. He has okay striking. He's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage here. His jiu-jitsu's not bad. His wrestling, very good. We saw it against Michael Morales. Like, he is a good wrestler, and we saw him go out there and take down, what's the Japanese guy's name? Sorry. Kinoshita. He took him down like 4 times in the first round. Like, his wrestling is actually a lot better than anticipated. His cardio's okay. It checks out. Does he have good wins? Kinoshita's not a bad win. He looked very good in a loss against Michael Morales. Solomon Renfro is a regional team darling. He went out there and knocked him out in 40 seconds. Like, this guy got some finishes too. He's actually a lot better when you go back and look. And his other loss, Austin Vandeford, Mr. Van Sant. He just got ungrappled there, but again, that was his 3rd career fight. That guy is good in Bellator. His losses, I mean, he lost to Michael Morales. He lost to Kaleen Hill, who I've heard of. I don't know a lot about him. But at the end of the day, he has good losses. He has decent wins. He's very hittable himself. You can hit him a ton, but he's pretty durable and he's a dog. And that's the type of thing you need against Mallet. Someone that is going to take your best shots and keep marching forward. That is Mallet's kryptonite, and that's exactly what he has in Fugit. And these odds, Mallet at minus 210, Fugit plus 180. Are you insane? What? Give me Adam Fugit at plus 180. I think he's going to win a bunch of money. So the pick is going to be Fugit. The bet's going to be Fugit. And if him and Urseg both hit, Jesus Christ, it's going to be one hell of a night. All right. Next fight of the night. I really, really, really want to bet the dog. Dog Charles Oliveira seems just disrespectful. I think it's accurate, man. Oliveira, Chucky O, plus 125. Beneil Dariush, minus 145. Over 2.5, plus 145. Under 2.5, minus 180. Let's start with Charles. Because there's a Charles Oliveira and there's a Chucky O. Like, those are 2 different people. Charles Oliveira, he's okay. Chucky O is a killer. Charles Oliveira has good jiu-jitsu. He has good striking. He has pretty sneaky good wrestling, but he's a little chinny. And he has a 55% takedown defense. Part of that is by design because he wants to be on the ground. He doesn't have a 2-inch reach advantage here, which is nice. But he can slow down a little bit of his fights. You got to watch out for his cardio. Chucky O marches forward and walks you down. He might get hit, but he's going to pop right back up and then just finish you. That's kind of what he does, though. We saw Wiley Cat do it last week. That's how he fights. They all fight the same way. El Nascimento move forward. They can't wrestle that well, but their jiu-jitsu is very, very good. And their Muay Thai is sound, and it's technically sound. They go out there and they get the damn thing done. And Charles is just dangerous everywhere. He can knock you out or he can tap you out. And if you need to just go to a drag him out decision, he can do that too, as long as he's on top. If he throws a body triangle on, you're not going anywhere. That's it. End of the round. On the flip side, Beneil Dariush was the hidden darling of the weight class for years now. Like, this guy is good. He's an absolute killer. He has good jiu-jitsu. He has good striking. He has good wrestling. I think he has the better wrestling here. My problem with him is that he's also a little chinny. He has 4 losses and he's been knocked out quite a bit. Alex Hernandez, knockout. Edson Barbosa, knockout. Michael Chiesa, rear naked choke. Interesting. And Ramsey Nijam, knockout. So he has 4 career losses, and 3 of them are by knockout. Is he a little chitty? Yeah. We saw Jakar Close rock him. We've seen him rocked in a lot of fights where Drew Dober rocked him. Like, we've seen him hurt, just not go out, and then we have seen him go out. He has 80% takedown defense, and he's fought some killers. He fought Diego Ferreira twice, Tony Ferguson. He fought Mateusz Gamrot and put on an absolute clinic. This is a number 1 contenders fight for him, and he knows it. If he wins, he gets a title shot. It's been guaranteed. It's been made public. And he's very good going off his back foot. So at the end of the day, if Charles wants to do his, I'm just going to march forward, let you crack me, and then I'm going to get up and finish you ordeal. I don't think that works with Beneil, because Beneil's not going to be scared to go down to the ground with him. On the feet, I don't know who has the advantage, to be honest with you. I really don't. Wrestling, Beneil. Beneil is a better wrestler. We've seen him go out there and use it before. Jiu-jitsu, it's a wash. It's scary to say with Charles. I think it's a wash. So I think Beneil's just the overall better fighter. He has 2 out of 3 methods for sure. And he might be better at all 3 facets of the game. So the pick is gonna be Beneil, the bet's gonna be Beneil. -145. It's a good line. All right. And then that takes us to the main event. If you haven't already and you made it through my allergy written podcast, make sure you give this video a like, a subscribe. Make sure you give a follow over on Twitter, over on Instagram, over on YouTube, where there's social media. There's the Stats and Stacks podcast. Amanda Nunes, -325. Arena Aldana, +270. Over 2.5, -125. Under 2.5, -105. Listen. They're making too much of this Mexican champion ordeal. Irina Aldana is not going to die, but she's going to get absolutely outclassed. Aldana we'll start with her. She has good striking. She has decent power. Her jiu-jitsu's come a very, very long way. We saw in her last fight, she threw up a ton of submissions against Macy Chiasson. But fighting Macy Chiasson and then fighting the GOAT Amanda Nunes, woo, that is a jump up. Her volume's good. She's a little hittable, which isn't that nice. She's 35 years old. This is the finished product. What we've seen is what we're gonna get. Her takedown defense is bad. It's very bad. We saw Holly Holm go out there and bully her and take her down every round. That's not good. That's not good at all. Is she the better striker? Yes. Does she hit harder? No. Is she durable? Yes. Can she just get taken down and controlled or even submitted? Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. Everyone's talking about Nunes. Is she motivated? She's another child coming. She's 35 years old. How much longer is she going to stick around? She's mentioned retirement. All of that is true. Is there a time to fade Amanda Nunes? Absolutely, and it might be the next fight. It is coming. Do I want to do it with Aldana just because Aldana's Mexican? No. That's why people are rooting for and betting Aldana, because the odds are big and she's Mexican, and Mexicans are on a wave. Well, Yair did not fight Amanda Nunes. So, Brandon Moreno, yes, he beat Davidson Figueroa. He did not beat the GOAT of his weight class. So, at the end of the day, Nunes, not the better striker, but her striker is good. Wrestling, Nunes 110%. Jiu-jitsu, Nunes 110%. Power, Nunes 110%. Schedule, Nunes 110%. Can she slow down on her fight? Yes. She can get tired. She can get tired. Can she be unmotivated? Absolutely. Does that mean she's going to lose her title to Irina Aldana? Probably not. If Holly Holm could go out and put a wrestling clinic on, I think that Nunes should kill her. If Macy Chiasson could go out and put a wrestling clinic on and be 1-1 and winning the 3rd round until a crazy grounded liver kick lands, she was losing that fight to Macy Chiasson, her last fight. Macy Chiasson is nowhere near Amanda Nunes. Nunes should kill her, but I do think this goes a distance. I think it's Nunes by decision or by sub, but at the end of the day, it's Nunes. So the pick is Nunes, and honestly, you can parlay Nunes at -325. Worst case scenario, put Nunes in all your parlays and just hedge with Aldana at +270. She's a big enough dog, and -325 is enough value. If you put her in a 3-legger, you can just hedge and guarantee money. So that's the way I would play this. So the pick is going to be Nunes. The bet's going to be Nunes. And that is UFC 289. Again, it's not the greatest card in the world, but neither was last week. We made money, and I love that card. I'll go back and rewatch it. So this one, as long as we make money, we're gonna make memories, baby. Let's get it.